tutorial on IPO diagrams. So as we've spoken about before, IPO diagrams are a pretty unique system modeling tool. This time, we're not really caring about data and how it flows. We really care about what gets input, what process happens, and what gets output. So kind of when we're looking down here at the candidate and the voting process, this person, these people, these entities, we don't really care about the entities. We care about the data that goes in, the process that happens, and the data that comes out. Not in as summarized form as a context diagram. We actually have to do all of the inputs, all of the processes, and all of the outputs. Okay, so in this example, the voter ID goes in. Then you will notice voter ID is a noun. Okay, it's a piece of data and it's a noun. It's not voter enters their voter ID in. That's a doing word. It is just the piece of data that goes in. This is the input, voter ID. The processes, you'll notice if it's a process, it's a doing word. Checks if it's on the electoral roll. Checks if already voted. Retrieves candidate list from the file. Output, not allowed to vote. Already voted. List of endorsed candidates. To be honest, if I was drawing this out, I would probably have done 1, 2, and 3 on separate lines. That's just me. So you could have had voter ID, check if on electoral, not allowed to, check if on electoral roll, output not allowed to vote. Next line in the table, check if already voted. Third line in the table, retrieve candidates from file, list of endorsed candidates. It's up to you, as long as this output here marries up with the relevant process, okay? Sometimes there could be 2 outputs. So if it might be a logon system, you might be username and password as an input. The process might be validating information. Your output can sometimes have an or in it. Might be try again or output login successful page. You can have an or in there. The most important thing, however, is that these are nouns and these are verbs, and that at any particular point in time, I can draw a snakes and ladders, I suppose, along this. That the output has a relevant process, the input has a relevant process. A couple of, in some scenarios, you might have 3 or 4 processes from an input. So you might have voter ID. These are options for processes, but I think back when we did some examples, we did meager egg noodles or making a Milo. You might have 3 or 4 processes before you have an output. That's fine, as long as your last process is on the same line as your last output and your first input is on the same line, your input is on the same line as your first process. So as long as I can draw a line between all of the things together, that's okay. Noun, verb, noun. Updated voters record, noun. Not updating voters record, not let's update the voters record. It's the updated voters record. It becomes a noun in output. Report of results showing candidates' name, number of votes, and votes, noun. Noun, verb, noun. Okay? What are all the inputs? What process happens with those inputs? And what gets output? And that's